It started with a shift I almost didn't take. Fridays were usually Gabe's to cover, but he texted me late in the afternoon, something about his niece's recital and family guilt. I was halfway into a bowl of leftover pasta and a documentary about Arctic foxes when my phone buzzed. 5 minutes later, I was throwing on my delivery uniform and grabbing the keys to the scooter. There was a weird stillness in the air, August heat that hadn't broken with the usual afternoon thunderstorm. Everything felt thick, like the city was holding its breath. Then I saw the address. Liam's. I paused, thumb hovering over the confirm button, heart knocking once, stupid and too loud, for a reason I didn't want to admit. I hadn't seen him in 3 weeks. Not since the night he bailed on our movie plan with a vague excuse and that half-hearted smile he always used when something was wrong. I'd known Liam for almost a year. We met the second day I started this job. He lived in that weird, half-renovated apartment above the music store, always ordering pizza at odd hours like dinner was a suggestion, not a schedule. The first time I delivered, he was in sweats and a band tee, hair still wet like he just showered, and grinning like he knew me. That was Liam, open in a way that felt personal, like he wasn't just nice, he liked you specifically. Over time it became a thing. He always requested me through the app. I pretended I didn't notice. We talked more than was normal for a delivery. Sometimes, when it was slow, I stayed longer than I should have. Him on the floor with his guitar, me cross-legged with a Coke in hand, pretending I was just killing time. Pretending I didn't look forward to it. But then he'd gone quiet. So yeah, I stared at that address on my phone for too long. Wondered if it was just a fluke. Wondered why it still made my chest tighten. By the time I was parked outside his building, my palms were damp. The pizza box in my hand felt unusually warm. His light was on. And I told myself this was just another delivery. But something about the quiet buzz of the city behind me, the faint sound of his music drifting through the open window, the scent of pine from the candle he always lit, it all felt like a memory waiting to happen. I rang the bell. And I swear, when his voice came through the intercom, sleepy, familiar, amused, I already knew this night wouldn't go how I expected. Liam opened the door barefoot, one sock slouched halfway off his foot, the other completely missing. His curls were sticking up like he'd been napping on the couch again, and a guitar pick was tucked behind his ear. Typical. Wow, he said, grinning as he leaned against the doorframe. You still deliver pizza, huh? I figured you'd be mayor of this city by now. I rolled my eyes, holding up the box. You still order Hawaiian at midnight like a criminal? So I guess we both peaked early. He laughed, the sound low and warm, and stepped aside to let me in. His apartment smelled like cinnamon and guitar strings, if that makes sense. A few candles flickered on the windowsill, and a fan buzzed lazily in the corner. The couch was a mess of pillows and a blanket that looked like it had eaten a nap and a half. Hope you don't have anywhere to be, Liam said, flopping onto the couch. I ordered extra breadsticks just to bribe you into staying. Bribery? Liam, I thought what we had was built on trust. He gave me a lazy smirk. I trust you to eat half the box before I can stop you. We settled into our usual rhythm without even thinking about it. The pizza box became the centerpiece of the coffee table. He handed me a warm can of soda from his mini fridge. He always remembered I hated cold drinks, something stupid and small that somehow meant too much. So, how's the band stuff going? I asked, pretending not to notice the way his arm brushed mine when he passed me the breadsticks. Same chaos, he said, pulling his knees up. We're supposed to do this open mic night in Westbridge next weekend, but Julian's van broke down. Again. Is it still making that noise like it's dying in Morse code? You remember that? I'm very emotionally attached to that van, I said deadpan. It's the only thing louder than your singing. He threw a crust at me. I dodged it barely. The truth is, we'd had hundreds of nights like this. Late deliveries, hours that bled into morning. Sometimes I stayed because I didn't want to go home. Sometimes I stayed because he asked, and sometimes he didn't need to. I'd seen him half asleep, half drunk, half dressed. And every time I pretended it was nothing. That my heart didn't beat faster when he smiled at me like I was more than just a guy with a pizza. Tonight felt different though. Quieter. Slower. Like we were both waiting for something. Hey, he said suddenly, sitting up straighter. Are you still doing that camping trip thing with your coworkers? The one you talked about in, like, May? Oh, the one I'm leading because Gabe bailed? Yeah. It's this weekend. Rain or shine, and apparently it's rain. Liam perked up. Wait, real camping? Like tents and bug spray and freezing your ass off at night? Correct. Can I come? I blinked. You want to what? I need inspiration, he said, nudging my knee with his. And maybe you need someone to stop you from falling into a lake. I know how to camp, I said, but my voice had gone quiet, my brain already picturing him next to me in the woods, close, sharing gear, sharing space. You know you want me there. I swallowed. It's a 5-person tent for 6 people. He shrugged. Then I'll sleep on top of you. Problem solved. I laughed, but my stomach flipped. He didn't even flinch at his own words. And God, I wished I could stop reading into everything. But he was watching me now, eyes a little softer than before. There was something in the air again. That shift. That quiet almost. I looked away first. Fine, I said. You can come. But you're carrying your own gear and I'm not sharing my marshmallows. He smiled at me like I'd just given him something important. And maybe, in some way, I had. By the time we got to the campsite, it was already raining. Not a polite drizzle, the kind you can ignore with a hood or a well-placed branch, but a full, moody downpour. The kind that made everything smell like wet pine and soaked regret. Gabe had clearly underestimated how long the hike would take with all the gear and barely competent co-workers. By the time we got to the clearing, everyone was soaked and cranky. Remind me again why I agreed to this, Liam muttered beside me, his hoodie plastered to his skin and his curls matted to his forehead. His breath puffed out in little clouds in the chill. Was it for the raw connection to nature? The spiritual journey? Or was it the glamour of squatting to pee in the dark? I tried not to laugh. You said, and I quote, "You need me. I'm basically Bear Grylls with better hair." I regret nothing, he said, his grin slipping for just a second into something softer when our eyes met. We set up the tents in awkward silence and bad coordination, which meant that by the end of it, my tent, the supposed 6-person one, was waterlogged along one side and Emma and Ravi's had a broken pole. Gabe announced he'd be driving back to town for another tent in the morning. Until then we'd have to double up. Of course. I tried to act casual when Liam dropped his pack inside mine and said, "Looks like you're stuck with me." "Could be worse," I said, but my heart was thudding like a damn drumline. We climbed inside as the others filtered away, pairing off with mumbles and damp sighs. The tent was barely tall enough to sit upright in, and even lying down, our sleeping bags were flush beside each other. There was no avoiding it. His arm would brush mine if either of us shifted. "So," he said, zipping the flap closed, "tell me something you've never told anyone." I blinked at him. "What now?" "Yeah. We're in the woods. It's dark. It's like a sleepover with bears." I laughed despite myself. "I don't know. That's a weird thing to ask." He turned toward me, propped up on one elbow, face inches from mine. "Okay, fine. I'll go first." His voice softened. "Sometimes I think I'd be happier if I just disappeared. Not like died. Just left everything and started over. New place, new name, no expectations." His eyes searched mine in the dark, shadows flickering over his face from my flashlight. "I get that," I said after a beat. "I think about leaving too. Not dramatically, just quietly. Like maybe no one would even notice." "I'd notice," he said instantly. The silence that followed was full of rain and thunder in my chest. He didn't move away. I could smell his shampoo. His breath was warm with the aftertaste of marshmallows. My mind raced. Should I shift? Say something funny? Pretend I didn't feel every atom of him just there? "Your hoodie's still wet," I said just to say something. He raised an eyebrow. "You offering to cuddle me dry?" God. He said stuff like that all the time, playful, flirty, like a game he didn't know I was losing. "I mean," I managed, "if you asked nicely." And then he was laughing, but the sound was quiet now. Nervous? I couldn't tell. He shimmied out of the hoodie and tossed it into the corner, leaving just a thin white tee underneath that clung to him in all the ways my eyes weren't supposed to follow. I looked away, but not fast enough. "I see you staring," he said. "I'm not," I lied, my voice just a little too sharp. "You're imagining things." "Am I?" I turned on my side, facing the tent wall, hoping the shadows could swallow me whole. I heard him shift behind me, feel the sleeping bag rustle. Then a hand brushed my arm. "Just a second." Gentle. Like a question. I didn't breathe. "I know I joke a lot," he said, voice low, "but you know I care about you, right?" That broke something in me. Because I did know. I just didn't know what kind of care he meant. Didn't know if he saw me the way I saw him, like a slow ache in my ribs, like something I wasn't allowed to name. "I care about you too," I said quietly. He didn't answer right away. The rain kept tapping the tent like it had something urgent to say. Then he shifted closer. Our shoulders touched. He didn't pull away. "I used to think you were just the pizza guy," he said, a smile in his voice. "But you kept showing up. And you're funny. You remember stuff. You listen. I'm literally paid to show up." Yeah, he said. But you stayed when you didn't have to. We lay there in silence for a while, breaths sinking. The space between us felt full of every unsaid thing, every joke that had meant more, every glance that had lasted a second too long. I didn't sleep much that night. Not because of the rain, but because Liam's hand at some point found mine beneath the shared blanket. And he didn't let go. The next morning was all mud, cold fingers, and awkward good mornings. No one had slept well. Gabe texted to say he was delayed another day. One of the sleeping bags was soaked. Emma had a mosquito bite on her eyelid. Everyone was annoyed. Except me. I should have been. I had half a crick in my neck from the way Liam's shoulder had somehow become my pillow around 3 a.m. But I wasn't annoyed. I was a mess of nerves and jittery warmth, trying not to replay the feeling of his hand in mine, the way neither of us mentioned it. Now he was crouched beside the fire pit with a lighter that wasn't working, muttering curses under his breath, a twig in his mouth like it was a cigarette. His shirt clung to his back in the morning humidity, and his eyes flicked to mine once, just briefly, like he could feel me watching. I looked away. Later we took a walk. It wasn't planned. Everyone was either napping or trying to dry out their socks. Liam stood, stretched, and said, "Wanna explore a bit?" Like it was nothing. But when I said yes, the smile he gave me felt like a secret. We didn't talk much at first. The woods were damp and quiet except for the crunch of leaves underfoot. Sunlight filtered through the trees in dusty rays, and the air smelled like wet bark and something green and alive. "I can't believe you actually camp for fun," he said eventually, nudging my elbow with his. "You're full of surprises." "I can be outdoorsy." "Yeah, but you brought biodegradable soap and a portable charger." "I contain multitudes." He laughed, but there was something nervous underneath it. And I felt it too. The edge of something unspoken between us. It had been building all morning, every glance, every brush of skin, every pause. We ended up near a stream. There was a flat rock beside the water, and Liam dropped onto it, tugging at the hem of his shirt. I sat next to him, knees brushing. He was quiet. After a minute, he said, "You ever think about how things change without you noticing?" I glanced at him. "What do you mean?" "Like, you have this friend and it's just easy. Jokes, take out, whatever. But then one day it's different and you don't know when it changed." Just that it did. My heart started to pound. He didn't look at me when he spoke again. "I keep trying to figure out the moment I started looking forward to seeing you more than anyone else." My throat felt tight. "Liam? I think I liked you before I even knew I liked you," he said, finally turning his head. His eyes were open, vulnerable, no shield of humor this time. Really liked you. Not just in the way where I want you around. But in the way where it messes with my head. Where I think about you on days you're not there. Where I wonder if you think about me too." I didn't answer right away. I couldn't. There was too much inside me all trying to come out at once. It felt like standing on the edge of a cliff. He shook his head, laughing nervously. "God, I sound insane. Maybe I just made all this up. Maybe you don't feel anything like that and I'm ruining everything." "I do." He blinked. "What?" I turned to face him fully, my voice trembling. "I think about you all the time. I've tried not to. I've told myself it was just a thing, just a crush, but it's not. I wait for your name to pop up on the app. I hear your voice in my head even when I'm alone. You make me feel," I paused, swallowing, "like I'm someone worth showing up for." Liam was still staring at me, eyes wide. His breath caught just slightly and then he kissed me. It was hesitant at first. Careful. His hand touched my jaw, thumb brushing just beneath my cheekbone. Our lips met in the quietest way, like we were afraid to wake the forest around us. But it deepened, slowly, like a realization. Like relief. When we pulled back, his forehead rested against mine and we just breathed. "I've wanted to do that since the second week I met you," he said. "I thought you were just being nice." "I was being nice," he murmured. "And also completely gone for you." I laughed and the sound broke something in me. A kind of tension I hadn't realized I'd been carrying for months. We sat there for a while, hands tangled in the space between us. The sun came out through the trees, warming our backs. It was quiet in a way that felt earned. Eventually he spoke again. "Can I ask you something?" "Yeah." "What now?" It wasn't a joke. His voice was soft. Serious. I thought about everything, the distance between what we were and what we could be. The nights on his couch, the songs he never finished, the jokes that meant more than they let on. I thought about how scared I was to lose what we had. And how much more scared I was of never knowing what it could be. "I don't know exactly," I admitted. "But I want to find out. With you." He nodded slowly. "Okay. Yeah. I want that too. He kissed me again, slower this time. Less hesitant. More like a beginning. And when we walked back to camp, our fingers laced together, I felt lighter. Like the weight of all the unspoken things had finally been set down. I knew there'd be questions later, about what this meant, about how it would work once we were back in the city. But for now it didn't matter. For now we had the woods and each other and the quiet certainty of something real. We didn't say anything when we got back to the camp. Emma raised an eyebrow when she saw our joined hands, and Ravi coughed like he'd swallowed a bug, but Liam just grinned and tightened his grip. I didn't let go either. We weren't exactly subtle after that. It wasn't like we were suddenly making out in front of the fire pit, though Liam did try to kiss my cheek once and missed, getting my ear instead, which earned him a chorus of groans from the others. But it was the small things that gave us away, the way we sat pressed shoulder to shoulder while sharing hot chocolate, how Liam leaned against me while we stargazed, or how he kept calling me handsome just loud enough for the group to hear and roll their eyes. I didn't care. For once, I didn't feel like I had to pretend I wasn't watching him. That night, back in the tent, it was quieter. More settled. He curled up beside me without a word, his hand finding my side beneath the sleeping bag like it belonged there. I turned to face him, our noses nearly touching in the low orange glow of my flashlight. "You okay?" he asked softly. I nodded. Just, kind of amazed this is real. He smiled, brushing a thumb against my cheek. Same. I keep expecting you to vanish into thin air like some pizza-delivering forest spirit. I snorted. Right. Because that's my aesthetic. He leaned forward and kissed me, slower this time. Less like discovery and more like something we were finally allowed to do. Felt right. Like the world had been slightly tilted before and now it had aligned. When he pulled back, he rested his head on my chest. "This is gonna be complicated, isn't it?" "Probably," I admitted. "We live across town. I work nights. You have band rehearsals and a fan base of emotionally unstable 20-somethings who want to marry you. They're mostly bots," he muttered. "I'm just saying. We've got logistics." He laughed. "We'll figure it out." "You sure?" "I'm sure about you," he said, looking up at me. "We've already done the hard part, feeling all of this without saying it. Now we just get to do it out loud." I didn't say anything right away. Just watched him. His face in the dim light, the way his eyes softened when they met mine, like they didn't need anything more than this moment. "We'll have to start slow," I said eventually. "Like, maybe see each other outside of takeout and tents." He grinned. "What, you're not proposing we move in together and buy matching flannel shirts?" I raised an eyebrow. "Only if we also get a cat named Mozzarella." "That's actually adorable." We both laughed and he pulled himself closer until his forehead was tucked under my chin. I wrapped my arms around him instinctively, like I'd done it 100 times before. Maybe I had, in my head. Silence settled between us again, but it wasn't awkward. It was full. Comfortable. Like we were letting everything that had built between us finally stretch out and take up space. "I'm scared," I said quietly, surprising myself. Liam didn't flinch. "Me too. But I'm more scared of going back to pretending." His arms tightened around me. "We won't. Not again." We lay like that for a long time, listening to the wind through the trees, the shifting of the tent fabric, the steady beat of each other's hearts. Every breath I took felt easier with him beside me. Every second felt like a promise. Not that everything would be perfect, but that we wanted it to be something. We didn't have every answer. But we had each other. And that was enough to start. Tomorrow we'd leave the woods. But tonight, under nylon and stars and shared heat, we had the beginning of us. 2 weeks after the camping trip, I stood outside Liam's building again. No pizza box this time. Just nerves. The afternoon sun hit the brick walls in a way that made the place feel like a movie set, golden and a little unreal. I could hear someone playing guitar upstairs, probably Liam, maybe not. But I knew the second I heard that off-tempo strum and the hum of a barely there melody, that it was him. The front door buzzed open before I even rang. "I saw you on the camera," he said when I reached the top floor. He was in socks again, one red, one gray, and a hoodie that hung off his frame like he'd slept in it. "You always hesitate on the third step." "I do not." He grinned. "You do. It's like you're building suspense." "Maybe I'm just afraid of commitment." He raised a brow, then stepped back to let me in. "Funny, considering you left your toothbrush here." I froze halfway into the apartment. "Wait, did I?" He lifted it from the counter triumphantly. "Electric. Well, a little frayed. Looks suspiciously like something that belongs to a guy who's moved in emotionally but hasn't admitted it yet." I rolled my eyes, cheeks flushing. Maybe I left it on purpose. Oh? He asked, stepping closer. A subtle declaration? A test, I said, matching his tone. To see if you'd throw it out or make space for it. He didn't say anything at first. Just took my hand, turned it palm up, and placed the toothbrush in it like it was something valuable. His fingers lingered. I made space, he said softly. You can leave your shampoo next. I looked up at him and saw everything I'd ever been afraid to hope for, all reflected back at me. You sure about this? I asked, even though I knew the answer. About you? He nodded. Yeah. I've been sure for a while. Just took me a bit to catch up to it. We sat on his couch, legs tangled, a half-eaten bag of chips between us. He played me a rough demo of a new song. No lyrics yet, just chords and a few hummed melodies. When I asked what it was about, he just looked at me for a second, then shrugged. You probably? Okay. Definitely. He didn't need to say it outright. I felt it in the way he leaned into me, in the way he picked my hand up and traced his fingers along the veins like they were cords. I felt it in the silence between us, safe, not awkward. In the comfort of being chosen, not just wanted. As the sun dipped below the window, casting golden stripes across the room, I pulled something from my bag and held it out to him. What's this? He asked, unfolding the old pizza receipt. You wrote your number on it the first time we met. Remember? He squinted. Barely. I was wearing a horror movie shirt and forgot to tip you. You tipped me the next week. With that weird candle and a promise to play me a song. And I still haven't done it. You're working on it, I said. He held the receipt like it was more than paper. Then he folded it once, carefully, and tucked it into the inside cover of his songwriting notebook. Guess that means you're sticking around? I guess I am. A beat passed. He leaned over, kissed the corner of my mouth, then rested his head on my shoulder. We sat there for a while, wrapped up in quiet and crumbs and possibility. Whatever came next, late-night gigs, mismatched schedules, band drama, rainy hikes, pizza without reason, I wanted it. I wanted all of it. With him. Because this wasn't a fleeting spark. This was a slow burn, and it was just getting started.